Hey there, and welcome to the Adamant Cup, the Final Fantasy IV free enterprise tournament. We have Tybalt and Sylverfyre here in the opening match of the Crystal Ring group. My name is Sheep Launcher, and I am here with Klopfer up in the booth. Klopfer, this is a really stacked group, the Crystal Ring group. It's going to be really important for our runners to get off to a quick start.
Yeah, definitely agree. Just kind of looking at all the runners here in Crystal Ring, Xenocat, Ceridin, Alchemy, Rexerol. This is a definitely tough group. A lot of really good runners in there. So yeah, I think you're right. Both our runners here are going to like get that first win if they can to really kind of take the pressure off on all those future races because they have a lot of tough matches ahead of them.
Yeah, and it looks like a fun set of objectives for our runners tonight. Completing Cave Magnus, so that's a required harp. Return the pan to Young's wife. Complete the sealed cave. Have Kokol forge the legend sword with the adamant. Trade away the pinktail. Guaranteed adamant armor. Liberate Baron Castle. Complete the Tower of Zot. All of these stuck on the blue planet.
Yeah, definitely is interesting to see that Moon is not necessarily required, at least for objectives. But again, they do need a lot of key items to get to all of these different objectives here. So while the Moon itself isn't being forced, we might end up having to go there just to get one of these key items to get to our objectives here. I think just in general, as we've seen from some of these previous races, completion percent tends to be really high, even whatever objectives you end up getting.
Yeah, it's easy to say that the moon isn't required for any of the objectives, but since the moon does have so many key item checks, it's highly likely that, say, the legend sword or the hook is going to be up on the moon somewhere.
You did note that Pinktail does guarantee there will be at least one adamant armor in the seed, so I'm sure our runners are hoping to see it early, but at the very least they will have that by the time they get to their Zeromus fight. As well as that forge does mean you'll have at least one Excal, or one Holy Sword, but the way we have it set up right now is our Paladin is a not relaxed character there in a more restricted location, so it can be harder to find him.
And it looks like our racers are underway. We're really glad to have you with us.
Great.
And that is a Palom and a Rosa, a pretty good start.
Definitely. You're always happy, I think, to see Rosa. Very good, white mage, and you usually want one of those at some point in your seed, as well as she can end up carrying your seed early if you find her, say, a bow, and especially that heron robe. Also, good first item there, that twin harp, since we do have to complete Cave Magnus. Nice to have that key item under your belt, although probably not the first stop for either of our runners here.
But it is really nice to not have to hunt down that twin harp that was given to us by the Magus sisters. We'll have to go through them at some point. And both runners going to head to Troya to pick up that key item from Edward.
Definitely. I think that's a very common play you see from a lot of runners here is just head over and find out what is this other free key item and see if that's going to change your decision making at the start. A lot of people are want to do a lot of early game looting, and maybe knowing which locations they have available to them impacts that. So getting these two key items and seeing where you can go is important.
With getting the twin harp right away, would you be tempted at all to try and chain the twin harp check and the Troya check together?
Yeah, I think that could definitely be a tempting thing to do. I do think I would probably do the same thing, which is just come check Bedward, see what he has. For example, knowing that maybe the magma key is here and having underground access immediately is something I'd value a little higher than being able to do the one stop here.
The package is an interesting item. It's a character check. It could be a Fu or a Cecil, both of whom are exceptionally valuable in these flags. You do have to sit through a boss fight and a cutscene to get there.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's only for a character that the runners value very highly. We'll see them do that, though. I would not be surprised to see both of them go and check to see who this is to find out if it is someone they value high enough. And I think that's Fu, maybe Edge, and so I think is a harder choice because he'll not start as that paladin. Edward, though, that's probably one you could skip on.
Well, maybe. Edward becomes much more valuable if you can locate a spoon for him. Because the spoon flag is on, Edward gets 255 attack power if you can find that spoon. So at least Tybalt knows where there's a bard if he needs one.
Yeah, for sure. Likely that would be finding the spoon first before committing to that time, but you're right. He definitely is very powerful if you can get that item. Tybalt is going ahead and dipping into Eplin Castle here, which is one of our, I think, preferred places to look for treasure. We here on T Wildish, we get very high tier loot from here. The downside is we just saw those trap chests, which we do not have the power to take on right now, so you have to eat a reset each time you run into one.
You could see some of the loot there. A Gungnir Sphere is very nice if a cane comes around.
Yep. We see the first kind of step here of divergence. Sylverfyre heading into, I think, the other more popular place, Watery Pass, which also has pretty high tier loot. No trap chests, which is nice, but definitely you have to walk around a little more. The chests are not quite as densely packed.
Among the items found by Sylverfyre, a silk web, always handy to have on hand. You want at least one for the Z fight at the end, and they can make use of them elsewhere as well.
Yeah, definitely. Having one for Zoroma is very nice, and if you can get a handful of them, there's definitely a lot of fights become a lot easier if you can slow them down. Tybalt is done with his looting, at least in the Evelyn Castle, and going to find his character on Hobbs. Be good to see that. Maybe someone he's more interested in than that Edward.
Sylverfyre did find a Lilith rod in Damsian Castle, a very nice stat stick for Palom
And
early
speaking
on.
of stats, a heroine robe. And
Nice.
Rosa, they're starting with that power staff. Not as, the best, not a top tier bow, which you'd rather have, but definitely a very solid weapon for this point in the game, together with that heroine robe. Moving over to the bow to be able to take advantage of that aim command.
Yeah, that Palom started off with a crossbow in the Neki flag. He can start off with a crossbow. Instead, Sylverfyre moves it over to Rosa. And Tybalt encountering an edge on Mount Hobbs, guarded by Vanilla Mom Bomb.
Definitely. So, somewhat of an annoying fight. Mom Bomb does have that extra HP, which we will likely not be able to chew through, so we'll have to see the explode phase, but totally worth it for an edge. He can get through pretty much all the early boss fights of the Seed, especially with some pretty decent gear, which Tybalt does have one really good ninja sword, and then I think it was a boomerang in the other hand.
Nice to have, especially early on. We'll gladly sit through Mom Bomb for that.
Yeah, as also having access to that J item just means can get through the bomb phase just in one action, so not even spending a lot of time here. Sylverfyre about to see the good news here of an edge, and we'll see if they also are willing to put in the time, and it looks like they do. They do value this edge high.
Yeah, Tybalt's going to take on that last chest, not going to go down the backside of Hobbs, but does find a cat claw.
Yep. Very, very, yeah, I mean, it gives you some stats, so if you don't have any weapon for Edge, you can throw that on there, but for the most part, because all claws have the 0 attack power, you'd rather give Edge aim to his other weapons, but if we do find Yang, that's his top tier weapon. Otherwise, yeah, just sell it for a pile of money.
Tybalt, I noticed, found a Stardust Rod for Palom. That was the reason he was able to use the Stardust Rod as an item to make quick work of that Mom Bomb. I'm guessing he picked that up in Evelyn Castle somewhere. That Stardust Rod for Palom, the best stat stick in the game.
Yeah, exactly. It credible stats, which is really good once you start learning those spells, Virus and Quake being some big breakpoints. But until then, the Stardust command itself will actually carry you through up until you start earning those spells. So it's just an amazing item to get you going in the early game and then keep Palom pretty strong going into the late game.
Tybalt diving into Antlion Cave, and is this even?
Oh, yeah.
Let's
see how long we can keep this chain going of the middle of bosses. But that's pretty impressive.
Do want to thank our restreamer Solaris, who rolled the seed and apparently forgot to push the randomize button. Also want to thank our tracker Beauty and Discovery for keeping track of everything and helping us out. Tybalt gets through that antlion easily and gets a magma key.
Excellent. So good already knowing this isn't a required hook route. We do have easy way underground, so that could definitely make things go faster. As well as now opens up those options. With that edge in your party, you're reasonably strong, so you really can't choose where you want to go. And so maybe say putting off doing Fabul defense now to at least be able to do Sheila 1 check, or maybe even being particularly greedy and trying to get this single Fabul dip, though you have a lot of hunting to do to find that pin.
Yeah, definitely the going underground to check in on Young before going to Fabul is certainly on the table. Tybalt heading straight to Agert, going to loot out what underground he can, you would imagine.
Yep. Continued divergence here. Sylverfyre will go ahead and do the Fabul defense right now. So have to see again. Do we get the gauntlet here? Which will not be vanilla because we still will see the alt gauntlet.
We do get a kind of blue robe, but it's a gold
I saw blue. I was excited for like half a second there.
Nope.
But it's gold beds, which makes me very not excited. No one likes to see gold beds. This fight takes a while. Ooh, nice tech there though. If you can knock down one of your own party members, or two if you're at that party of 4, you control who's going to be alive after the demolish phase. So you know who will live.
Very nice there, and that Rosa has a ribbon or something that prevented the paralyze. So Sylverfyre's in good shape.
Yeah, being able to just immediately throw up that Star Veil, you are safe entirely from gold beds as long as that Star Veil stays up. So with any of that damage getting reflected back and just picking in your own damage, there's not that much HP here. This fight should be pretty safely won.
Now Tybalt, instead of going underground, is going to head to Baron Inn. Finds Yang sitting with Mylon Z.
Someone can use that cat claw. And I think also, one thing to note, party size is max 4 here, so this will be filling up his party, although we can always get people to leave. It is nice to just get everyone into your party, just fill up those slots. A lot of bosses only attack one person at a time, so there's just a lot of safety in having a full party, so I can see valuing that early on.
That is a pretty much free Baron Inn. King Queen Evelyn will do some ineffective spells and then fade away on their own. So Tybalt's party, Klopfer, is Edge, Yang, Rosa, Palom. That's a party you could take to Z, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. There's a lot of really good gear in this. I think a lot of people are not preferring for the physical fighter to keep Yang because you can typically equip your other fighters better. But if you end up getting the levels on him, he definitely makes very good addition going into the Z fight. Edge already is reasonably well equipped, so he's fine all through the game. Palom is someone who's very good early here with that Stardust Rod and Virus Quake. Depending on exactly what you're trying to do for your strategy, you might drop him for another melee fighter, but you might keep him around. So I think it's really just what gear do we run into and what characters do we run into at which points in the game.
Very much so. Tybalt gets through the heart-wrenching story of King Queen Evelyn, gets a legend sword, so Baron Inn required. Sylverfyre got a Luca key from defeating Golbez at the Chuckle Hut, so that's also going to be required. But I think what you were saying earlier is going to be correct. I think Tybalt's going to wait to tackle the Fabul defense until after he goes to talk to Young.
Yeah, seems very likely with having already opened up that path to the underground. Just did that. Let's fill up the party because maybe he will be dipping into the Fey March, and having that full party could help him take on some fights he might not otherwise be able to take on there. Though we do see at least a stop in Dwarf Castle. This might be for the boss and the key item, or just a shopping trip. And we'll start with shopping, but that doesn't mean necessarily we won't come back in and take the boss on as well. Edge is a reasonable level for doing this fight. The rest of the party, though, is a little on the weaker side, so I think this could be a tough one if Tybalt does go to take it right now.
Right, Tybalt certainly looking for weapons. Might want another weapon to equip that Edge. Might be looking for some decent arrows to put on that Rosa.
Yeah, definitely. Although, always happy to find those Bacchus wines. Being able to berserk up easily just makes so many fights that much faster. So even with having a berserk caster in Rosa.
Yep, Dwarf Castle is the place to find the wine.
So we've Doing pretty good. Our key item checks are giving us key items, and they're also giving us important key items for the most part, things that are adding up towards our objectives. So we did say, hey, moon's not required from the objectives, but the key items up there might shove us there. That might not happen if we keep getting as lucky as we have in the first 12 minutes of the seed. There's a lot of seed left, so we'll have to see there. But right now, I imagine the runners are feeling good and kind of getting closer to their objectives completing. Definitely feels a lot better than everything you do up to this point with it, which can occur.
Very much so. There was a full moon in Tamra. Tybalt's not interested. Tybalt did check the job dwarf. It's an engineering manager tonight, and you know what? I just realized that your discussion on the key items led me to think the only kind of zonk of a key item check we've had so far was the free key item, which was the package, but Eddie was just saying, hey, come see me somewhere else.
Yep.
Come see me when I'm out of bed.
It is very nice of him there to be like, hey, I see you came to visit me. Maybe you're just really, you really like Eddie. So let me make sure you can find the other one in the seed. Being just a real helpful person that way. And as you said, if we find the spoon, we might even go back and pick him up. We'll have to see. Continue divergence here. Sylverfyre is going heading up Mount Ordeals, so 3 boss fights to get through here, although just mid on the level, so they usually don't take too long to get you your run key item check, as well as turn on that paladin, which, since we do know we'll have an Excal by the end, could be something Sylverfyre is valuing by doing Mount Ordeals right now.
Yeah, and Mount Ordeals could help get a little EXP, get that kid up to Quake, at least Virus.
Yeah. So it is worth noting, Sylverfyre's routing is different. So they have not found that magma key yet, so they actually don't know that they could be underground at this point.
And Tybalt going to check the key item. That's a Masamune, and his edge going to be happy about that.
Yeah, you're always hoping to see the key items, but when you do whiff, it's at least nice when it's something you can make good use of. So definitely not the most painful thing to find inside that chest.
And we can sound the siren. Sirens for sale in the Fey March.
Excellent. And immediately picking up 10. Having Paladin in your party, getting some sirens can be really nice because you can just quickly gain those levels to get to Virus and Quake, which are very important, as well as potentially maybe getting all the way to the Elemental 3 spells, which a handful of bosses who have elemental weaknesses, having those can just make the fights near free by just having to get 1 cast out from Paladin.
The Fey March had, I believe, Bahamut and either Rubicante or Elements.
Yeah,
and
Bahamut there, so definitely a fight that could be taken. Although, not terribly quickly, because that is at the Leviathan spot, who doesn't have the highest magic power, so we can reflect back to Mega Nukes. They're not going, well, if you reflect back enough, you can maybe do Quad 9s.
Yeah, that Bahamut is going to be free, but like you said, it's going to take a little bit of time. And we're going to have to see a lot of counting. But Tybalt thinks the juice is worth the squeeze, going to go for it right now. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Sylverfyre just blasted through with a Lit 2, that Odin in the first spot, and finds a French vanilla Dark Knight Cecil.
Excellent. And so just going ahead and using the script on this fight, just let DKC attack 3 times and the fight is over. So as long as you have enough HP, this fight can be very free. Mega Nuke's a very strong spell, so even with the lower magic power here, it's still doing Quad 9s.
Yeah, the nice part is that the spot is fast too, so you won't have to wait long for Bahamut to start hitting himself.
Yeah, exactly. So this really is doing all the damage that Tybalt was hoping to see, and we'll be able to get through the spot very quickly.
Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself.
No, please keep hitting yourself. It'll make the fight be over so much faster. Thank you, Bahamut.
Well, Sylverfyre does a really significant metaphor, throws the Dark Knight off the cliff. I think that's just better than the Dark Knight fading away after a speech.
Mm-hmm. Really way too much more symbolic, I think, of overcoming your past there. And we do see a blue road, but luckily just the water heading so much faster fight to get through. Although this is a easier spot, so you would kind of hope it was not such a free fight and save that for later, but you also don't want to see the Alt Gauntlet in here.
Yeah, the alt gauntlet in here is just very annoying. But the sand ruby is the item for surviving the changing room, and neither runner has gone to the oasis in the desert yet, so we don't know how valuable that is quite yet.
Yep. That is one of those gated character checks, so it's possible to get us our Fu or our Paladin, who will be a Paladin now. Ooh. Tybalt is rewarded with the Adamant, the other half of his forge.
Yeah, Tybalt can go clear off his first objective very early on for clearing a first objective in one of these seats.
Yep, definitely. Although his use for the Excal doesn't exist right now, other than darting it, but I can see he might want to hold on to that just in case he finds Cecil. But being able to check also the shop, because you can get some really good gear in there, so knowing what's there, even if he doesn't have the money right now to buy it, can be a good information to have. So yeah, and you have to forge anyway, so why not just get it done while you're in the underground?
Exactly. He's in the neighborhood. He's going to go get it done. Sylverfyre, meanwhile, descending down Mount Ordeals with the Sand Ruby in hand. Fading Antlion for now, so Sylverfyre only has the above ground checks to do. We'll see if Sylverfyre wants to go check out that Sand Ruby, wants to go check that Twin Harp, or wants to take on the Antlion Cave.
Yep, yeah, it definitely is interesting to see Sylverfyre wants to just continue fading Antline as long as possible. Like, that's a conscious decision of, I faded Antline, I'm going to do that as long as I can possibly fade it. Which this is looking like this might be a Twin Harp check.
Yes, and we want to welcome in the raiders from RPG Limit Break. Thanks for not spoiling the race you just saw over there. You are just in time. Sylverfyre is going to do the harp check, so we're going to have music, which is required on this seed. Tybalt found the magma key in the Antlion Cave. Sylverfyre has not been there yet, so Tybalt has had the run of the underground.
Yep, definitely. So going ahead and doing spots Tybalt thought he could do quickly, hoping to maybe find that pan to get the single for Bull. Didn't find it. Definitely values now going ahead and getting at least Sheila 1 and returning back to do that for Bull.
Yeah. Tybalt found both pieces of forge. The legend sword was in Baron Inn, I believe, and the adamant was at the King's Spot in the Land of Summoned Monsters, which was Bahamut.
And so Tybalt does immediately return above the ground. I imagine we'll see him heading over to Kabul, while Sylverfyres were working their way through Cape Magnus.
Yeah, Tybalt did check in on that monk in the bed, and is now going to try to take care of Fabul in just 2 trips.
Yeah, and being able to save that flying time can definitely add up every time you get to just do 1 fewer visit, kind of as you were referencing and doing this single stop here for Cape Magnus. Those can add up and get you some potential lead.
Yeah, what the thing we are seeing from these flags is just how important routing is and how important how important cutting down travel time is when you're doing everything all at once.
And just before we mute here for music, another little nice piece of tech there by Sylverfyre, Kamikaze, to knock out their own party, to immediately get perished and end the fight without having to watch the elemental cast or the weak cast. So nicely done.
Speaking of nicely done, enjoy. Well, it looks like Sylverfyre isn't equipped for sound, or something like that, but finds Calbrena in the required Cape Magnus.
Definitely. So trying to go ahead and do AoE damage here. If you can just kill all the dolls at once, you will not have to face off against the big doll. Kind of an annoying spot for this, though. Because as you can see, most of your AoE damage is magic spells, and this spot has very high magic defense.
Yes, this might be a good place to burn one of your hourglasses if you found one, to freeze those dolls in the back, and Sylverfyre does just that.
Perfect. Great.
But too late.
Oh, unfortunately, command was already queued up.
And Sheila, instead of giving the pan as she does in the vanilla game, gives the spoon, another item from her kitchen. But suddenly, Tybalt has an interesting decision to make.
Yep, definitely. Even if he doesn't go pick up Eddie, he does have the other spoon user here in Edge, so it's always nice to be able to dart that for 9,000 damage or quad 9s once you have a few levels under your belt to any just really annoying boss you just don't want to deal with, at least in the first half of the game. Just end it in one turn.
Very nice. Sylverfyre does get the big doll. This fight can go sideways in a hurry if you're not careful.
Sylverfyre is able to finish it there just with the big doll. Did not have to have them turn back into little dolls again, and so it's through the fight, and we'll get to see the Cape Magnus reward. And whatever it is, this was an objective, so it was a good use of time.
Very nice. And the hook will bring you back.
That is important here. We do have the Trident Pinktail, so we do need that hook to do so. This is really interesting, though, as Sylverfyre hasn't done Antline Cave, so doesn't know there's a magma key out there, and it'd be interesting to see if they take this as a signal to I should go do hook route right now, or will they finish doing all their overworld checks?
That is an interesting dilemma. If you were in Sylverfyre's shoes, would you feel like you had a party that could take the hook route right now?
Likely what I do in this situation is I would go into Adamant Castle and take on the trap chest there and find what loot I had there and really use that to decide if I could take on the hook route. So that is a potential option. Find out just how much power is available above ground before committing to that hook route. And then if you find you just don't really have those really high tier items you'd like to see first, go finish checking all your other overworld checks. That being said, Antline's a relatively fast one, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that be done before committing to that hook route.
It is relatively in the way, and Sylverfyre is not going to leave that hanging.
Yeah,
and we'll be glad that they did.
Yeah, once they see that magma key, much easier on their for routing decisions going forward.
Tybalt, meanwhile, heading up Mount Ordeals.
I mean, has that X-Cow in hand, is definitely motivated to finish Ordeals so that they can make use of it once they find Cecil, if he is anywhere we run into in this scene.
Sylverfyre not even bothering to loot anymore.
Yeah, definitely an important thing to note, and this is with T Wildish, is there is treasure, tiers, so different areas do have better loot in them, and Antline is very middling quality, so a lot of the times you will skip a lot of these chests, especially if you already found a lot of the stuff you want.
Yep, Antlion Cave chests, you have to be there anyway to get a key item, so you might as well pick up some chests, and that's why the stuff in them is not very good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly it. A lot of the good tiers are in places you wouldn't want to go, Evelyn Castle being a really good example of that.
Right, because it's scary there.
Yeah, it's scary, and you don't have to be there. At least not on this flag set, because we do not have trap chests containing key items, for example, which is an available flag, not one we use in this flag set.
Evelyn Castle has ghosts. Sylverfyre does get their magma key and is going to check out Kaipo
Oh, nice. Yeah.
just to check out that sand ruby.
Yeah, that totally slipped my mind. But Sylverfyre on top of it, going ahead and checking out to see which character they have there, and hoping. I wonder if there is something they're hoping for. I imagine Fu is always appreciated. Paladin would be nice to see, but we get a
Atella.
Pella, a discount Fu. Okay,
Yeah, and Silverfire's going to make the plunge.
all right.
Did find long swords in the Kaipo weapon shop and picked up one of those.
Yep, very nice. These are definitely a good weapon. It's not top tier weapon, not what you really want to have in the end game. But until you get to the end game, longswords are going to be good enough on edge to get you through those fights. So, yeah, if you're not rocking a longsword yet, buy one and at least get up to that.
Silverfire does pick experience over youth. And, how is Palom ever going to get experience if nobody gives Palom a chance?
Obviously, Tybalt will continue to give Palom a chance, let him level up and show off that nuke he does eventually learn. But yeah, Tella definitely is relatively. He just brings a huge amount of utility, and so if you value that utility, especially once you've already completed ordeals, it can be a really nice pickup for that. He also is relatively slow, so he can be a really good anchor even if you don't find that curse ring. He never gets that terribly fast. So he can be nice just seeing that middle slot, and in the late game keep enemy bosses from being not too much faster.
Do you think that gives us an insight into Silverfire's thoughts in regard to the grind?
Potentially, and that's definitely one of the big utility things of Tella is being able to do D machine grinds. This flag set tends to be really, really high completion percent, so you just do a lot of stuff, including usually a lot of the moon, which can mean you can get your experience just by doing the stuff you have to do, and not really have to do a terribly long dedicated grind. So maybe if we do find Darkness Crystal early and our remaining checks are hard checks, particularly like the summon checks, those are some of the harder things we have to do before going to the moon, then that D machine grind could come up. Knowing that sirens are available, my guess is we probably won't see a D machine grind.
Yeah, certainly not on Tybalt's side. Tybalt already picked up sirens. Silverfire doesn't yet know that sirens are available, and in fact, Tybalt went to check on the old man in the bed. It's raining, it's pouring in the desert apparently, and resets on Tella. No thanks.
Yeah, not interested there. So again, it could very well be, I think, as you're noting there, that difference in information. Tybalt knowing that he has sirens means he has a way to get Palom 2 useful spells quickly, and knows he won't have to, say, do a D machine grind to gain all those levels. Just doesn't value Tella quite as highly.
Yeah, we are starting to get to the point where a Darkness Crystal now wouldn't be as early as a cheeky grind would make it seem. We are a half hour in. Do want to thank our restreamer Solaris and our tracker Beauty and Discovery for making everything look pretty and be accurate.
And Silverfyre taking advantage of the hook they picked up and checking out both Adamant Cave, which is nice for the item shop, can generally have some really nice items in there, as well as there's another character check there.
Yeah, the Eblin Cave shop has guaranteed to have 2 tier 5 items. We've already seen sirens, we've already seen Bacchus wines, but there could be hourglasses in there.
Yep. Hourglasses and coffins are very nice finds. There's a handful of boss fights that those make both very easy and very fast, so you're really happy to find them. There are hourglasses. Also good for taking on trap chests if you want to do that.
Meanwhile, Tybalt is in Dwarf Castle, encounters the Karate Man in the first spot, dancing around.
Yes. His young grew superior and is able to win the fight.
Dispatches him with ease.
Though it looked like Edge and Palom were doing a lot of the heavy lifting there. Speaking of character checks, though, we do get another one here.
Yeah, character check in Dwarf Castle, and Silverfyre also going to go to the bottom of Eblin Cave and find their own character check.
And there is the one trap chest here, which we run into. That was a Sid who, no, doesn't make the cut.
Tybalt really not interested in anybody with a beard right now.
Yeah, it's important to have your criteria set up before you start your race, like what do you want in that party, and so Tybalt's figured it out and just sticking to it.
Yeah, I thought you were going with something differently. It's important to get your criteria set up. So Sylverfyre does take on this trap chest. It'll be nice if there's a nice edge weapon or even a high tier Cecil weapon here, but otherwise, Stalemen, really annoying, not a ton of experience.
Yep, definitely. They are mostly really annoying because that sleep stats effect, but we did just see Sylverfyre. They picked up hourglasses, which means this fight is safe. So just go ahead, hourglass, get through it, and really hope to get that good item. You can get tier 8s from here. And sometimes you get rune axe, which is almost certainly not what we were hoping to see.
I believe there was a rune axe actually in Damsian Castle, so not worth it at all. But there is a mop.
Speaking of things we're hoping to see, mop. You like having a mop in your party. Everything Tella can do, but just kind of better. So I imagine we'll be seeing Fu enter this party. He gets, once you beat enough bosses and fill up his spell list, he has access to everything you want. Comes in at a reasonably high level. His stats are okay. Another nice thing about him is his agility is 20 and doesn't move. He'll just hang out at 20. So he can also be pretty decent as an anchor.
And that Tala that Sylverfyre just picked up is suddenly superfluous.
Going for the mop over.
Tybalt did find the Earth Crystal from Dwarf Castle. Ooh. That is required. Got to complete the Tower of Zot and heads immediately to Troya. Gonna chain together this Twin Harp and Earth Crystal check.
Yeah, definitely very nice there, as well as another chance to check or pick up some characters there. We do see dipping into the castle first. This might be a treasury raid, and then immediately into Zot, or we could see the exit out of here and do the Cape Magnus first and then come back for Zot.
Yeah, he is going to raid that treasury. It is interesting. It probably doesn't need the treasury to complete the Twin Harp, so if he wanted to be ultra efficient, he could have done that, but that Zeus Gauntlet sure is nice.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think the hope here is find some better gear, so that even though you spend some extra time walking around, you can do fights that much faster, that you kind of make up the time difference. And a Zeus Gauntlet is definitely one of those nice finds. I'm sure Power Shirt is really on the top of Tybalt's wish list.
Full of ninja hats. Did get a defense sword. And a long sword.
Yep.
Not a bad treasury at all.
Definitely not. Again, probably his top item on his wish list wasn't there, but definitely some really good stuff. We are going to do Tower of Zot apparently right now. Good chance of finding a character who can maybe take advantage of that defense sword. If not Cecil, who could take advantage of that X-Scal he has. Life Staff is also nice. Rosa will have really good White Mage stats, so she'll be able to just, cure up your entire party with a Cure 3 and Cure 4 in the late game.
Mecha Lake pointing out in chat that we have a double inventory boss going on, as both runners finding out that they have more stuff that they want than they have room for.
Definitely a challenge for sure on T Wildish. There's just so much good things in these seeds that you want to take it all with you, but there just isn't room.
Yeah, it's like the box of cables that you keep in your spare room. Like,
they
might
will
need it
be
someday.
Useful. At some point in time, I might need this karate gi. I'm going to hold on to it. All 3 elemental claws. We never know what will come.
And Tybalt got the adamant armor from the Flame Dog chest.
That's nice. That's a big find there. The Flame Dog is a relatively fast trap chest to go through, and there's a few chests that you can walk by just on your route going up Zot. So definitely, it can be worth that time investment to just check those nearby chests. If you hit the Flame Dog, great, you kill it quickly, and you might be well rewarded. Tybalt getting that adamant armor, that's an extremely powerful, the most powerful piece of gear in the game, pretty much. That's going to speed up everything he does from this point and make a lot of fights really, really safe.
Like we were saying, Tybalt is a routing genius. Should have gone into the treasury and up to the flame dog chest first before going to Twin Harp.
Mhm.
We knew it the
Knew,
whole
knew,
time.
knew exactly what you want to see and just got it, so it's good. Uh, we run into the full elements fight here, which should not be too challenging for his party is currently set up.
No, and that means that Silverfyre is confirming for us that it is Ruby in the queen spot.
Yep. Which the queen spot does have relatively high magic power, and Ruby has some pretty mean spells. The fire 2 counters and everything could hurt a bit there. Lair will likely one-shot enemy. So definitely could be a bit of a harder fight there.
Yeah, Ruby at that spot, very tricky. The queen spot is faster than you think. No matter how fast you think it is faster than you think.
But Silverfyre does feel confident that they can take on the Bahamut spot, both through Star Veils and having access to the wall spell on Fu. And so we'll get that, which we do know is a very important check to take.
Hello, that's a paladin.
That's definitely, I'm sure, a motivation for Tybalt wanting to come out Tower Zot as soon as possible. When you're holding a holy sword, that Excalibur, that crystal sword, you start valuing those character checks really highly for this reason. You want to get that to work, and we do.
And a betrayer of French vanilla. So an interesting decision for Tybalt. Yep. Going to ditch that Yang, but tells Kane to hit the bricks.
Yeah, I think that was... Dropping Yang here makes a lot of sense. Kind of noted these other fighters, when you have good gear, which Tybalt knew he already had, makes a lot of sense to prefer them over Yang. The keeping with the Palom, I think, was definitely a bit of a harder choice. Do have good gear to equip both of those fighters, so we could have taken it. But it's also good to have that Black Mage. Having access to AoE magic is good for a lot of different fights. And if you get enough experience, Nuke is also a very good spell.
Much so, and it could help out with a hybrid strat at Z.
Speaking of fights that you like to have AoE for, the Alt Gauntlet.
Although that Palom does go down very quickly. Edge will pick up the slack a little bit, but the Alt Gauntlet here, not terrible.
Yep. Yeah, and definitely Edge showing why one of the reasons he could be so useful is not only is he a pretty good melee fighter, but he comes with that flame spell, which again for early Alt Gauntlets can generally be enough to one-shot them as well. He's quite fast, so he can get that cast out quickly.
Yeah, that flame is just chewing up these 5 random encounters.
Some of them definitely seem ice beasts, apparently weak to fire, so good to take advantage of that. Silverfyre does just go ahead and do just Bahamut, and not interested in taking on the Asura spot, but we'll go ahead and do their Forge.
Yep, they have the Legend Sword. They did the Baron in check earlier on. Finds Coco complaining in the bed that he has Forger's block.
But of course, this rock, I know exactly what I want to do now.
You know, sometimes you just got to put in the work, and I don't think Tybalt checked the shop, or if he did, he didn't spend much time there. But there's Power Staff, Stardust Rod, or Power Shirt maybe.
Shirt, yeah, Power Shirt, and that definitely is a nice item. Expensive, as we can see here. Stardust Rod, if you did not have one, definitely good for keeping Fu. His stats are okay. He's not going to get the highest level stats, so getting good sticks on him, since he gets access to these spells quickly, can make him very useful. Or, as beating Discovery noting, Artie Bow for Murder Rosa. Those are all really good options, just depending on what you want to do. So yeah, definitely a tough choice, because even after selling everything, you're probably want to be able to afford one of those items at this point.
Yeah, the Murder Rosa and Trizerk definitely on the table. With the Artie Bow for sale, with the Heroine Robe, we found it, and I think I saw Tiara for sale in the Fame Arch, so that's certainly an option.
Yep, definitely. Although all those are really good options, and I completely see why they went to go for the Stardust Rod. Let's get that Fu, probably one of our most powerful members in our party at this point, get him doing more damage.
very much so. That Fu can really carry the party through the middle of the game, especially with the boss fights that Silverfyre has already done,
Mhm.
and is going to get some grinding in.
Cool. And Tybalt does finish off the Oct Gauntlet there and gets the reward from Tower of Zot, which was just a Bahamut. But hey, it was an objective, so won't complain too
Yeah, just a little.
much. So yeah, I always complain a little. What am I going to do with this Bahamut? Sell it for some money, I guess. Uh,
I
and
gotta lug it down to the store. Gotta make sure they're open. Gotta make sure I still have the receipt.
Tybalt also just has a pile of stuff in his inventory, so maybe he wants to sell the rest of that while he's there.
And now Tybalt is going to Twin Harp. Can't fade it anymore.
Mhm. But again, with the very, very well equipped party he has here, with all the additional looting he's done, very powerful. Should be able to get through the fight quickly until he sees it stalls and goes, "Oh, this is kind of annoying for my party still."
I don't know if he has the Hourglass 3 that Silverfyre had, but that might be worth it to throw on the first turn.
Mhm.
All right, and there's a kamikaze strat, and now we are gonna have for real music.
Looking forward to it.
Enjoy.
Right. And Tybalt through that, and chat is confirming that's from Bravely Default, and as well as Xenocat noting song 403, over 400 songs it sounds like inside this. So big thanks to Xenocat for all the work on putting the music in.
Yeah, Xenocat doing wonderful work on the harp renditions as always. And that was a gorgeous song. Light and lively. Silverfyre getting through Dwarf Castle. Also wasn't interested in that Sid. Gonna get that Earth Crystal. Gonna get that Earth Crystal. And right now, Silverfyre about a check behind Tybalt.
Yes, although does have the Fu in party, so that could help make up some time.
And Tybalt going back to...
Okay.
Yeah, wants that old man.
Okay. Again, there is a lot of utility in having him, as well as maybe he's looking for that anchor in his party. Yeah, done with Palom.
Yeah, the kid has served his purpose.
He casts Quake, killed the dolls, and until it's like, all right, dolls are out of the boss pool. I don't need Palom anymore. That might not be his exact thought process, but willing to drop Palom at this point.
Well, he gets the wizard out of bed and immediately puts him to work and casts Exit.
Mm-hmm. Will be interesting to see if Tybalt does go ahead and check Evelyn Cave as well to just find out, oh, there's better Tella here. But nope, heading back underground. Presumably interested in doing some more checks.
kind of running out of checks to do. There's Luca Cave, which is a requirement.
Yep.
But other than that, there's the Queen spot. There's Keyless Tower.
Yep. But kind of following the do your required checks. So once Tybalt felt like he had sufficient power to take on the sealed cave, he's going to go ahead and head into the sealed cave and see what's waiting for him down here. Likely the adamant armor and the ability to put on that Excal made him feel sufficiently powerful.
Yeah, there are still some bosses that could give pause, but that could give Tybalt a rough time down here, including a vanilla evil wall, but we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. This spot is very fast, so that's always an issue, which might have been a reason for picking up the Tella. Maybe that's for his anchor situation. And very high magic power, which again, if the boss makes use of their magic stat, that can be really painful.
Yeah, and both runners now in the sealed cave.
Actually, I wonder if Tybalt's motivation for Tella was just warp to get out of here quickly. Palom does learn it, but it's at a fairly high level, 27 or 29, and maybe he can't hit that breakpoint yet.
Sylverfyre does have an issue with that pesky rope.
It's always waiting there to ambush you. All right.
Tybalt gets a rat tail, now has the hook, so in addition to it being required, that's another key item check.
Yep, wasn't the tail we wanted to see, but we'll take it. Ooh. Blarg. All right. Ooh, wow. Tybalt has no star veils left, it looked like.
Ooh. It's not easy to find more star veils down here.
Yeah, they are for sale, but you'll want to check the above ground shops to find those. And so
I believe they were for sale in Kaipo.
Yeah. Tella does have wall, but the ability he won't be able to cast it fast enough, so. And it looks like Tybalt did not make a save, unfortunately, outside, so does have to work back out.
Yeah, a little unfortunate, a little time wasting. Sylverfyre has a chance to make up a bunch of time if they can get through this in one shot.
Yeah, chat saying Syl did conserve one, so let's see here. Yep, 1. Hey, all right.
1 is all you need. And Fu gets it off.
Perfect.
Sylverfyre did pick up that Sid, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Again, with an anchoring situation.
Yep. Very well could be what helped Fu to get that in time. Looked like Fu was very low on MP there, so couldn't follow it up with a spell. We are looking at, is it 18,000 HP at Evil Wall?
Yeah, it's a ton.
19,000 HP. Yeah, it's a ton. So even with that one reflected Mega Nuke, we're only about halfway through the fight. And, well, you're going to have to do the rest of the damage yourself, so you're going to want to have a bunch of MP on Fu. Or maybe pick up your other melee fighters and get them berserk to start swinging.
Well, Sylverfyre does use a tent to buff up that Fu a little bit.
Yep, 100 MP from the tent. Cabin will restore all your MP. So use the camping gear you have. And let's get this fight another shot. I did not actually see Fu's spell list here. Does Fu know nuke?
I don't know.
Yeah. Definitely. It's a good spell. Would help a lot getting through this fight. With 100 MP, 2 casts, and that Stardust Rod might be enough to end the fight. He has nuke. Thank you, Mecha.
And thank you to our tracker Beauty and Discovery.
As well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Chat always saving us.
And Tybalt going around the world shopping.
Yeah, needs to find those star veils. Sylverfyre did go ahead and lower battle speed before entering this fight again, which will help a lot against Wyvern. Dropping down to 5 or 6 battle speed, very common scene here. It makes it much easier to get off that starting star veil, as well as easier to get all the commands in before Wyvern starts nuking your entire party down.
And Sylverfyre not even going to bother raising up the other members of the party. Fu can do this all by himself.
Yeah, so Wall Wyvern does protect with Wall. If you bounce your own nukes, you can pierce right through that, hitting for 5,000, and we'll need another 5,000 or higher hit here. Good, and that will take a while.
So Sylverfyre is through, has that rat tail in hand. Very nicely done. Meanwhile, Tybalt doing a trapdoor grind.
Yeah, did they find their Star Veils and then came back down, or are they trying to get Rosa to fall? They just wants the experience.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We'll see. Rosa not quite up to Wall yet.
Could also be interesting, just P levels made for agility reasons. Let's continue to take some walls, though. Or some doors.
And I could be wrong, but I'm fairly sure we saw Star Veils for sale in Kaipo. In the Kaipo item shop.
Very well could be true. I didn't notice them, but...
the Kaipo shop had a lot of items, and I thought I saw Star Veils on the bottom of it, but yeah. You know, I have old, tired eyes from treating my body like a tent instead of a cabin.
Yeah. Tybalt here is fighting the Manticore, who's doing a fair bit of damage and unfortunately knocking down a lot of his party, so the experience is only going on to Edge here.
Yeah, that's the problem with the door grind, is it can backfire on you fairly quickly if one thing goes wrong. That's never happened to me on stream. I've never totally biffed a door grind.
No, they always feel fine. It's fine. But yeah, it's definitely it can be one of the more challenging grinds too. And yeah, unfortunately, at least Tybalt did live through, so just didn't get the experience every once, but is able to continue and take on some more fights, which we see him doing here. And certainly has something in mind here. Did pick Rosa and only Rosa up, so maybe it is that interest in getting to Wall.
Yeah, I think that I think that's a good guess to what Tybalt is trying to accomplish here. And wow.
Yeah, even with the spoon to try to take that out as fast as possible, still was going to lose Rosa on that. Moving his party around, looks like trying to get some agility situation a little different, or... Oh no, just getting more easy to cast. Time to exit.
Sylverfyre did visit the monk down in the Sylph Cave, now going to go back to Sheila, get that nice start for Edge.
Mm-hmm.
Probably too late to... pick up that Edward from the package, but we could dream.
We'll see. We'll see. It could happen, but you're right. Probably not the most likely of plays. What do you think will be Sylverfyre's plan next? Just kind of looking at the items they have available. I suppose Earth Crystal in hand and not the Tower of Zot done. That seems pretty likely check.
Yeah, I think it's likely to me. I think Sylverfyre would want to first check that rat tail, but then if the rat tail doesn't lead to anything, then check that Earth Crystal. I think at this point they would really want to have the tower key in hand before they take on the tower. Yeah, the Tower of Babel, I should say.
Sure. And seems like exactly as you predicted. Turn in the rat tail first, find what that gives us, and yeah, definitely if you have other checks available, especially ones you have to do, like the Tower of Zot, do those and find out if they provide you the tower key before committing your time to being in the tower. And let's see what the rat tail has.
The key, it's required.
Yep. So, great. 2 checks available, both required, so I imagine that's what we'll be tackling next.
That Earth Crystal would link nicely up with that Baron key, because you, after you take on the Tower of Zot, you go directly to Baron and just wind up there.
Yep. And Sylverfyre thinking exactly as you are. I'm going to go ahead and head into Here, we'll see if we get another treasury raid or straight up the tower.
Sylverfire's
More
raid the
loot.
treasury, and
It's really hard to turn down that treasury. It has such, the potential for having such good stuff is in there.
yeah.
You really have to be already fully equipped to want to turn this down.
Tybalt, meanwhile, going to munch on some eggs here to try and get that Rosa up. Did have the sirens just sitting around.
And with, up into the 40s, feeling much more confident about heading back into the sealed cave and being able to take on that wyvern now. Kept Tella down to keep his levels low and his agility as low as possible, so just going to anchor for him.
Yeah, not only do our runners have to complete that sealed cave, but you need to complete the sealed cave in order to liberate Baron Castle.
Extra required.
And Sylverfyre decking out their party after a successful treasury raid. And we'll see if Sylverfyre wants to check that Flame Dog chest. It wasn't a vanilla spot.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good payoff here, but again, you also want to move fast, so do you value doing that? Those chests, it is a decent chance here of providing a tier 8. What is it?
What are the odds of it? Do you know off the top of your head?
Nope, but I have notes. 18% of having a tier 8 in there. And tier 8 contains 3 things: adamant armor and the 2 holy swords, Excal and Crystal Sword. So, 18% of getting your tier 8, and then you're kind of usually happy to see any of those tier 8s, adamant being ideal, but even here getting on, with us knowing there's a paladin up this tower, getting a holy sword's fine too, although we already have that Excal in hand.
Right, and tonight there's a 100% chance that that chest contains a tier 8. Sylverfyre, unfortunately, does not know that.
Yeah. I could very well see the fact that we already have the Excal in hand disincentivizing doing that check. Again, it's 18% getting a tier 8, but 2/3 of them are holy swords, and you already have a holy sword, so it becomes far less appealing in that case. Oof. Wyvern still being a jerk.
Yeah, the Seal Cave turning into a house of horrors here for Tybalt. Really unfortunate.
Yeah, definitely. As we kind of noted, depending on what you find there at the wall, that's a really, really mean spot, and a handful of bosses can prove to be a lot of challenge. Wyvern is definitely one of them. So fast, and the magic power is so high that your only way to get through is by getting up a reflect spell before that mega nuke, because it is going to take everyone out and do so very quickly. And then even after that, the fight still is somewhat challenging, as Wyvern's really fast and going to hit really hard with his nukes.
Right, and as you were saying, even with that reflected mega nuke, in so many spots that destroys Wyvern right there, but at this spot you're only halfway there.
Yeah, definitely a really rude boss to find here, and seeing it posing a challenge. We do have a wall off at this point, and 4,000 damage already done. So.
Yeah, I darted something. It might have been a defense sword.
I believe it was defense sword. Great.
So the treasury coming in handy.
Yeah, definitely. And we are picking back up our edge. Who has? Thank goodness for all this great stuff we picked up. Let's just keep darting.
Where's that spoon?
Perfect.
And now it's official. The bard is gonna stay in mist.
Exactly. When you have a boss and you just need to be dead right now, you're happy to have that spoon to turn. And Wyvern was definitely that boss that Tybalt wanted to be dead right now.
Yes. Could not stand looking at Wyvern for one more second.
And making use of the Tella here to warp out the Seal Cave as fast as possible.
Sylverfyre picking up that Cecil, ditching Rosa. So it's a boys club in Sylverfyre's party now.
Yep. Does have access to food, can do both your magic, both your white magic and your black magic. Again, his stats are not as great as Rosa, so he's not as good of a healer. But all that utility he brings, as well as already having Sid as good anchor, and with sufficient gear, sometimes don't need a really strong dedicated white mage in these flags.
Dream of a quad Zerk is dead, though, I think.
uh, I mean, you could Zerk Fu, it's just not going to help you much. But if you really want to, the option still is on the table.
Yeah, there are power staffs for sale somewhere.
Mhm.
Go for it. That would be a swag way to go.
We can see here sylverfyre taking advantage of the very fast cast time on Virus, and Fu getting the first turn there to just Virus immediately, which is just strong enough, it seems, to take out these fights and not having to watch any combat. So sylverfyre getting through the alt gauntlet probably about as fast as possible, which is good because it is always a time sink.
Tybalt, meanwhile, heading back down into the Fey March, and I hate it when I'm right, but Keyless Tower is the play 100% of the time, and nobody's gone for it yet, and it's going to be the play again.
Very well could be. I mean, what are we still looking for in key item wise? I mean, darkness opens up a lot of the world, but we also just need the pan itself is an objective and unlocks 2 more key items, on which we only need the pink tail. So Away to the Moon and the pink tail could be behind the pan. So just where's that pan is maybe what we're looking for. Of course, it could very well be we'll find darkness and we're down here and we have to do the entire moon to find everything else we need.
Certainly a possibility. It would be it would be keeping with Solaris's MO, I would say. But Tybalt gonna take on this Ruby.
Yep.
And after surviving Wyvern, nothing scares him anymore, I don't think.
Every other fight. Far less scary than that Wyvern in that location. He's going to just go ahead and not heal up the entire party. With the counter fire 2s, it does mean everyone other than Cecil will be dropping down to the floor. But Cecil hits really, really hard here.
Yeah, that's Cecil slicing through that robe.
Yeah, and no fear here. We'll get through the fight very quickly.
Yeah, it was leg. Was.
Yes, that fight finished very quickly. So well done there by Tybalt to get rewarded with a Moon Veil. Yeah, maybe that Keyless Tower looking a little better now.
Yeah, not quite a zonk, but certainly not what he's hoping to see there. sylverfyre, meanwhile, heading up the sewer, gonna liberate Baron Castle. The Magus Sisters stand in our way in the first spot. Not gonna be an issue. There aren't. I don't think there are any bosses left in Baron Castle that would give either of our runners a fright.
Yeah, maybe Ogo Pogo if you didn't heal up after walking through the Sylph Cave, but even that you might kill fast enough. So yeah, probably feeling pretty confident at these spots. Liberate Baron Castle is an objective, so we will see that done, I'm sure. There is also the Baron Basement Throne, though, to follow up on.
True. That could certainly contain a key item as well. There are monsters that could be hiding in that basement that would at least give pause.
Yeah, definitely. That spot can be very scary depending on who we find there. So not all of Baron Castle will be free, even at this point of the game.
Yeah, we do still have some scary bosses we haven't encountered yet. We haven't seen Baigen, we haven't seen Kainatsu, we haven't seen Ogopogo, we haven't seen Evil Wall.
Yep, definitely some mean ones. So could be hanging out down there, as well as if we do find that darkness crystal, the moon might still be the play, and so we could find those hard bosses up there as well. Not a hard boss, but a slow boss. Dr. Lee likes the doc, unfortunately.
No, we gotta. The doctor's gonna talk to us a lot. And Tybalt, making the Keyless Tower play, finds some set of guards up here.
Yeah, so either be the guards or the officer-soldier fight. I don't believe we've seen either at this point. Relatively... Not sure if he's found those hourglasses. I don't think so.
Not for sale.
Yeah.
And it is the officer-soldier fight.
Cool. and it looks like his plan is just focus down the soldiers. If you do kill them, then the officer will just take the wise tactical option and retreat.
Yeah, not enough EXP up here to make it really worth it to keep the officer around for that experience. This spot does have a bunch of HP, something like 11,000, but most of it is in the officer, and the officer will just run away.
Yeah, definitely very high HP for this part of the game. So if you're kind of doing the game in order, you get a real spike here compared to everything else around it. Uh, but if we can get through those soldiers, the fight will be done.
Sylverfyre says no thanks to Porum.
Yeah, Silverfyre probably happy with their party as is, pretty powerful already.
Right, and if they took Porum, that Porum would sacrifice themselves right here.
Mm-hmm. But since we did not, a harp will save us instead. That's a very powerful harp to hold an entire wall from crushing us. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure the harp itself is strong. I would just question what it's anchoring to.
Ooh, that's a good find. Pinktail in the trash can.
And what a link from the sealed cave
Oh, yeah.
to the Baron Castle to the Pigtail.
So there is the basement right here to check. But we do have a Pinktail we turn in. That's an adamant armor. Those are really nice. Looks like Silverfyre doesn't want to spend too much time flying around and is willing to go ahead and check this boss without picking up their biggest stat stick in the game.
Upper. Keyless Tower was Darkness Crystal.
So that's Moon Axis. It's maybe not important other than being the Moon Axis. This could very well be in the basement throne here. We're looking for that Pan.
Yeah, Silverfyre, one key item and Moon Access away from Go mode.
But of course, it's always Darkness Crystal at top of tower. If you're looking for it and you haven't found it yet, just go top of tower. It's there 100% of the time.
Yep. Silverfyre encounters Octomam in the basement. Octomam will hit hard and is fast to start, but if Silverfyre can hang in there for a couple shots, Octomam slows way down, and then the fight gets much more manageable.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Free and Rez, for the raid. These no spoilers from your previous race, but welcome to this one.
Yeah, we've had a really fun and exciting race so far. Kind of the turning point of this one was a required wyvern in the sealed cave, where Tybalt kind of got himself turned around a little bit. Silverfyre was able to get through that spot very quickly.
Yeah, the difference was in having Starveil on hand, which Silverfyre did, and Tybalt did not. Tybalt finding out that Baron Key is his turn in here from the Rat Tail, and so a required objective. Okay, Moon looking more important now with that Dragon Whip as a reward for the basement throne.
Yeah, but Silverfyre gonna walk it out, although has to deal with the inventory boss once again.
Might be valuing the experience you get from doing that spot. The Silverfyre might have looted on their way down to this fight and found something that they liked inside the chests there, but is willing to walk this out. Or also maybe just didn't save and so has to walk it out.
That's a possibility as well. Do want to thank our restreamer Solaris and our tracker Beauty and Discovery, and thank you, Klopfer, for providing the knowledge and the mellifluous tones to have a fun night of opening round Crystal Ring group action.
Big shout out to you as well, Sheep Launcher. It's been a lot of fun commentating with you.
And in case you did just join us, this is the opening match of the Crystal Ring group, Tybalt and Silverfyre, each 0-0. The other runners in the Crystal Ring group, Xenocat, Saradin, Alchemy, Rex Raoul. There are a lot of groups of death, but this is a group of death. This is a really balanced group with 6 really good runners. Both runners here gonna try and get off to a quick start. And as of right now, it seems like Silverfyre's a step ahead.
Yep, does seem that case. We can clearly just see from the all the plays we've seen here, both these runners are really strong, and yeah, everyone else in that group easily have the same strength, so we're going to see a lot of good races coming out from this. And I think are definitely ones to check out and see how this group progresses. Sylverfyre going ahead and picking up their adamant armors, completing off another objective, so just has the pen left. And at this point, is top of tower their only remaining check? It does look to be the one they're doing. I think
they also have to check that ruby spot. They
Yes.
haven't done that yet.
The Asura spot is also open to them, although valuing the top tower first, which they will find is darkness, and that will then open an interesting question to them, which is to moon or not at that point.
Yeah, Sylverfyre could full clear the blue planet if they wanted to. Tybalt, meanwhile, doing the Baron basement check in the middle of liberating Baron Castle.
You're already walked half the way to the throne, so if you can just go ahead and walk down there and then come back up to liberate.
Yeah, the
few less steps.
The only downside is if you don't care about the EXP down here, and if the item is certainly not essential, then you can't. Then you still have to walk back. So Tybalt taking the chance on that, maybe loses a few seconds.
Yeah,
but we'll see if he values the EXP anyway.
Although it does make a lot of sense for Tybalt with still 2 key items looming at large here, higher chance of this providing some value, so wanting to get as many key item checks in kind of a higher density as possible. As well as just feeling confident in his power that this basement throne will be easy. I'll just take it out quickly. Which he does do.
Yeah, that Octomam turned to sushi lightning fast.
But finding out it is just that dragon.
Which he could have used against Wyvern.
Those items just all showing up just 1 or 2 checks too late, though. Sylverfyre, they're showing that this boss is in fact not a boss, and thus can be hit by the hourglass. A handful of bosses do not have the boss bit enabled, which does mean things that normally you couldn't do to bosses, stop them, insta-kills, things like that, do work. And so this fight is totally safe at this point. And trying to just connect with... Oh, there was a stone cast, I think, now going to Quake to just... let's just DPS it down. We're quite strong.
Yeah, Sylverfyre dealing with that food life. He whiffed on the stone cast. Did use an hourglass to stop the officer, so we'll have to pare down all of the HP, but Nuke does that pretty quickly.
It is a pretty good spell. And so we're finding out that's where the darkness is, so clear the full clear of Blue Planet, or time to hit the moon, where we do have multiple spots we could be checking, so a lot of density up there of key items.
Yeah, there's still plenty of time for this race to turn around if that pan is on the moon, where it's hiding, and what direction our runners take once they get up there could make the difference here.
Yep. In this position, what's your routing on the moon?
I'm always in favor of density. I might try cave value first, just because I never try it and it's always there. But I think bottom up would be the most common routing, and I think for good reason. The key item density down there is certainly greater. If I were in Tybalt's position and I had a rough sealed cave, I might feel a little bit behind, and that's when I might go top down instead.
Yeah, I think that's a really good call out, kind of recognizing you had a hard time on a certain boss fight and thus could be behind for that reason, to go ahead and choose maybe the lower percent plays. I'll be interested to see if Tybalt does that, though it is worth noting this race is actually just really close. Tybalt might not feel that, but it is very close at this point.
Tybalt does get his second adamant armor, and Sylverfyre is going to waste time down here with the ruby.
Yeah. Again, you're in that neighborhood. You go, what if it is that check? I go up to the moon, and it was just down here all that time. I'm so far behind. It can feel really hard to make that decision. So you want to just go ahead and clear out your summons.
Morpheus pointing out in chat, Tybalt got rid of Edge.
Did he?
Interesting.
That is interesting. He was doing quite well. He's very well equipped. He's totally a reasonable endgame party member when you have those, Hanzo Steel in both hands. So, interesting choice. Could also be an accidental click. That does totally happen. He is here in Mysidia if he wants to go to Tower of Wishes and pick him back up.
Yes, thankfully the buy flag is not on.
So we'll have to see here if he's interested in changing his party.
Yeah, the only thing about that misclick, it's redeemable, but Tybalt has to sit through the cutscene, and Tybalt going right back into Mysidia.
Okay,
Looks like an accident.
A misclick then, yeah. Or maybe he's coming back here for someone else. Gets that Sid he turned away a while ago. Okay, no, he wants that Edge. Fair enough.
Yeah,
Edge was just scouting out Mysidia for him. It's,
there you go.
Get that information. Thank you, Edge.
Making sure we knew where the Tower of Wishes was, and Tybalt is heading toward the whale, and it's a virtual tie heading up to the moon.
Yeah. Basically, the only difference here is that lunar whale launch cutscene. So yeah, we are extremely close, and if we see divergence here in the routing, that can make the entire difference in this race here.
Yeah, sylverfyre is just a cutscene behind. Tybalt doing really well to make up time after that wyvern.
Yeah, definitely really good for Tybalt. Like, you can, when you lose time on a boss like that, it can, make it really hard to concentrate and play well. Tybalt, no problem though. Still very focused, still playing really well, and just getting through all these checks as fast as he can, and has been able to keep this race really close even after running into that hurdle. So we're very, very well done by him.
Yeah, if you've seen any free enterprise in the off season, you've probably seen Tybalt on the community races, and the fact that he's always there shows that he's really experienced in a lot of different situations and knows how to keep a level head, knows how to adjust. And that is another
How many
paladin.
holy souls do we have? I think just the one. So bye, Cecil. We'll keep our current one, as well as we've already leveled up a fair bit at this part. It's pretty hard to change our party an hour and 20 minutes in, unless you're looking for a new agility anchor.
Right. There's only the one excal that our runners got the old-fashioned way.
And Tybalt will do a top-down approach, it looks like. So not cave value immediately, but not going to go down to the higher density at the bottom of the cave. I do like this a lot also when you're looking for that one key item, as opposed to needing multiple. If it is up here, you're saving yourself a really long walk. So,
do you think Tybalt feels behind at this point?
I would imagine he does, given that challenges with Wyvern.
And that is Kainatsu. A little nasty.
Yeah, definitely always nasty to run into Kanaizo on the moon. These spots have a lot of HP, which means the waves can hurt. They're also pretty fast. You can see the waves early. We do have a lot of power here. If you can hit him hard enough, fast enough, the waves won't do so much damage. But yeah, those first ones doing 1,000 to everyone's a little scary. But all the future ones are going to do less. It's linked to current HP. So Tybalt already kind of looking safe at this point.
Yeah, that Holy Sword Cecil really doing the work.
Yeah, definitely a reason why Cecil is not the easiest character to find in this flag set. With all the really good loot we get, he can get really powerful and can just kind of tear through the seats. So that's what we're seeing right here. And you'll see this wave doing far less damage. 60, not scary at all.
Although you say that we've made Cecil a little bit harder to find, we found him twice, though.
Glitch. He's usually hard to find. Is that just a power shirt there?
It was.
So, not the progression we need. A decent piece of equipment, but Again,
Yeah.
you just want that pan. You're already feeling powerful enough, so extra
Right.
gears not what you're most interested in.
No, it's not like you need to plug a power adapter into itself to get unlimited power. We already have unlimited power.
The seed or this fight set often does give you that. So by an hour and 20 minutes in, a lot of times you're going to see just these really strong parties, and so it's work your way through the bosses as fast as you can to kind of know those strategies for optimal speed as opposed to safety on getting through really hard bosses. I mean, I do say that. There are some bosses on the moon who are always just screwed, so we'll have to see who we run into here.
Sylverfyre heading down to the bottom. And it looks like Tybalt hot on their heels.
Yeah. So, kind of, as mentioned, the routing decisions could be what's really important here, and Sylverfyre skipping that check that we now see wasn't important they are currently ahead.
Yeah, Tybalt could split off, head to the Crystal Sword altar, the vanilla
wow.
vibrant spot, and is doing that.
You called it. Again, I think that's a clear sign Tybalt's feeling behind, and so going ahead and doing these, more out of the way checks in hopes that that's where the pan is and can jump ahead in the race there.
Sylverfyre finds Mylon and friends.
Definitely not one of the scarier fights here. Quake is excellent to just clean up the friends. You berserk up your strong fighters, and Mylon not very scary because lit 1 is lit 1, so it doesn't hurt even with moon boss stats.
Ashura in the Crystal Sword spot, not terrible, although a Cure 4 is a Cure 4 no matter how low the magic power is.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll want to see if... Doesn't look like going for Lifelock, so will we just cast Wall or double Star Veil here?
Yeah, this spot might be a little too quick to do a reliable Lifelock strat. A double Star Veil or a double Wall, the safer option.
Although Tybalt just going for damage output, berserking up here. So far, it's only seen Cure 3s, so...
Now, this is an interesting point being brought up in chat. Are you only looking for the pan, or would you want to see the pass first as well?
I want to see the pan first. I want to just be in go mode and go. If I find the pass, I'm not feeling bad about having done the check that got me the pass. It was worth the time investment there. But the pan's what you want to see.
Tybalt finds a glass helmet.
So another whip there, unfortunately.
Yeah, you might as well chuck that into the ether.
Yeah. Probably is happy to get the experience. With the 10 items here, just doing all these moon bosses will get you sufficient experience to be healthy for your sea fight. Sylverfyre getting 2 checks here. The nice reason to do the ribbon room. Both whiffs. Is it cave value? Is that where the value is?
It might be. So we still have the White Spear altar, we still have the Ogopogo spot, and we still have cave value.
Yeah.
One of those has to be either the pan or the tower key.
Yeah, and it very well could be that chain there. That tower key is what leads to the pan. So if you find the tower key, do you bail instantly and go check that? Or do you finish clearing the moon while you're up here? Or especially if you do everything but cave value, do you take the time to fly over to cave value or just return to Earth and follow up on that tower key?
Very, very interesting decision. You have to imagine the more moon checks you do, the closer you're looking at whether your opponent is done.
Yeah. I'm sure both eyes are constantly looking at that race room to see if that done's coming at this point, because you can very much believe if your opponent has just routed the moon differently, that they are already in their seed fight. Not that we know that's not the case. Very easy to feel that at this point in the seed.
Ogopogo in the White Spear room, hot desking it.
Yep, exactly. We do have a White Mage in our party. I'm sort of Foo. Generally, when you have that, Ogo's not too bad. You can just keep carrying up through those big waves. As long as the punches aren't too rough, you'll get through the fight with a good Berserker party, which is exactly what Sylverfyre has.
Yeah, the nice thing is that Cecil with the next Cal is a good Berserker party all by himself.
That is true. As effectively, Cecil did all the work there, getting through that fight and rewarding us with the. There's that tower key. Does
Sylverfyre has a
fail?
decision to make.
Yep. Or continue doing the checks down here. They've done less moon checks here. They've done just the crystal room and that white spear altar. So they also have, the ribbon room and that. They also have the crystal altar and the Mursame altar that is completely unknown. So probably feels too soon to bail.
Yeah. Do you feel lucky? Well, do ya?
No, apparently. There will be no luck to me. Yeah, but definitely difficult decisions. Again, I think a lot of that is, do you feel behind? Tybalt very well could get this tower key and choose to follow it up from the feeling behind standpoint.
Could be. It'll be an interesting view into his mindset once he gets through this Ogopogo, which, with another party might be a little tricky. With this party, Tybalt will slice right through.
There, your rude boss has showed up, Biken. Usually quite a pain, because with the 3 bodies there, he can get a lot of actions in, most of which are punching, so when you have an adamant armor, he has become a little less scary.
Yeah, and Fu has the AoE damage to take down those arms right away. Not going to be a huge issue.
Mhm.
Tybalt is through. That Ogopogo will see the fork in the road that he has to choose.
Yep. Gets the news on the tower key. Has already done ribbon room, so that's a lot of the moon is cleared for Tybalt. Okay. This could be a save and then an exit, or it could be save and take on more boss fights.
And he's healing up. He's staying on the moon.
All right. Biken down on Sylverfyre's side. Was this the important check? What do we get?
The suspense is almost unbearable.
Yeah.
And that's a pan.
All right. Okay.
Sylverfyre's in go mode.
Yep. Oof, exciting.
So-
All right.
So neither runner bails on the moon. It's going
call.
to be the right call.
Sylverfyre immediately exiting out here, and we'll turn in that pan. The nice thing with the pan is we are forced here to return the pan, so we are getting 2 checks here, which means the chance of still finding that pass.
Yes, and the pass from those 2 checks would be extra nice.
Yeah. Definitely gets you back up fast. Of course, your opponent's doing the same thing, so you're not gaining any time from that. But still, you're not going to turn down that pass. You'll take advantage of it.
It's just a lot of walking.
Yeah, we'd rather be playing the game, not just walking. Get me into that Z fight.
Yeah, we've already gotten in our steps for the day. Sylverfyre, the first one to return to the blue planet. Tybalt, a boss fight behind, maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, and not having that foo, so a little more annoying on Biken, not being able to say Quake through the arms. But again, Cecil's just doing work here on both parties, just chewing through everything he runs into.
Yeah.
Zeromus will not be an exception to that. He will fall to that Cecil as well.
Yeah, both parties are Z ready, with Cecil getting both parties most of the way there.
All right, and let's see our first turn in here. Is that our pass, or do we have a walk in front of us?
And it's good that this can sometimes come down to how well you navigate through the Sylph Cave, if you have any bonks or not.
Yeah, this race is still very close, so he keeps eyes on it. Zeromus is always mean. Things can happen, and that fight can get out of control, particularly with these high damage numbers. It's actually easy to hit that sweet spot where you eat a full strength Big Bang and immediately go into medial phase. Adamant armor provides...
Returning to... and getting a power shirt.
All right, more power.
Unlimited power.
Uh, okay, Tybalt going up tower here.
Did Tybalt not realize he just got the pan?
Uh, did did he? It's not done in the tracker. Did he? Did he wipe? I did not see that.
No, he
Okay,
sliced through that
it's
Baigen.
lit up there on tracker. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Baigen is strong, but he's not that strong.
Yeah. Okay. So coming up tower here, could
I
be
mean,
misplay. Might be really hoping for that pass, but again, you had the 2 checks that are turning in the pan, so I imagine he would do those first if that's what he was fishing for.
yeah.
Definitely, we'll have to ask him what was going through his mind here. The good news is this fight is fast. You're mostly just losing your time to the walking and the cutscene as you leave. You'll get through the fight here quickly, as we see.
And Sylverfyre, returning to the whale, hasn't yet turned in that pan. Returned it to Young's wife, and almost cost themselves a bunch of time.
Yeah, I think we can see here, kind of your note early on. Both racers are feeling this is a really important race. They want to get that first win in this group, the very, very tough group, and maybe nerves are a little high here. And again, this deep into the seed and seeing the way it plays out, I'm sure you're feeling my opponent's at sea right now, and so everything you're doing feels just that much more important to get right and as fast as possible.
Yeah, the adrenaline has got to be surging through both of these runners. Even if they're not consciously aware of it, they have to know that this is a really close race, and one mistake could decide it. And that's the pass.
There it is. Sylverfyre doesn't even have to return to the lunar whale.
So Tybalt loses time on this tower check.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get that another admin armor win. Yeah, that would be fine. I'd take that.
Just a Dragoon Spear.
Just a Dragoon Spear. Not the best hit.
Sylverfyre heading right over to Troya and not going to waste any more time.
Yeah, feels confident in their party setup. No need to touch any of the equipment. No need to change their anchor. No need to change battle speeds. Let's go. Let's take on Z.
Have a good time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what a friendly person.
Cool. Yeah, he's chipper. All right, we're seeing those Z flags in chat. That does mean we have a question, because Z is just too big, too smelly, too much to move anywhere else. But we do give Z a makeover, and for the opening race of the Crystal Ring group, love to see who Z is tonight. Klopfer, you want to do the honors?
I'd be more than happy to. Pulling from our huge collection of sprites here, we get to ask the fun question every night of, whose butt are we going to kick tonight? Well, some follow-up questions such as cute butt or house butt.
Yes.
Why butt?
Will the butt be exploding off the side of the screen?
There are many important questions to ask at this point in time. And they will all be answered shortly, as Sylverfyre will throw out the crystal here, and we will get our Z form revealed. Tybalt here finding out the news that the pass was available, but unfortunately just behind the pan, but does get his crystal, and will very shortly be heading into his own Z fight.
Yeah, Tybalt about, I don't know, about 2 minutes behind.
Yeah, about that, I'd say a minute and a half. Ooh,
Goodness.
I have not seen that one before, but I am terrified, so I'm going with scary butt.
Yeah. I don't even know which part I'm supposed to be most afraid of.
Sylverfyre immediately boxing up multiple members of their party here. We have 2 very strong melee fighters there with the Cecil and the Edge, both really well equipped. Will be dishing out a ton of damage.
Using that Moonveil from the Ruby fight.
Yep, so I imagine we'll see a hybrid strat here, getting some nukes reflected off there with the Fu. I'll throw the first nuke straight on to try to go for the nerf of the first Big Bang.
And that nuke doing quite a bit of damage. Doesn't quite get so lucky as to have it bounce off that foo.
But hitting your anchor is the next best thing. So thank you, Sid. You've been a great help in this fight.
Yep, the bearded old men doing their thing on Sylverfyre's party. But just pumping out a ton of damage, and
So choosing to continue just cast nukes here with Fu, not interested in healing up. Feels like he can just show enough damage to hopefully not have to see a full strength Big Bang again. Which, seeing 4K swings coming from both the melee fighters could very well be possible. Also, let's play it safe and get a cure for it.
Yeah, gonna take a turn to just ensure that the melee fighters have enough HP to survive a full-powered Big Bang.
Because again, you're kind of right in that sweet spot with 4K, 5Ks where you can do the Big Bang straight into the medio. And if those both high roll, even with Adamant armors on, could take you down.
But gonna try and bounce another nuke off. Not going to direct cast to try and nerf the Big Bang. Tybalt has gotten into his Z fight, but
Looks like that.
Sylverfyre has done it. Sylverfyre takes the victory,
GG's to them.
winning the opening match of the Crystal Ring group 1-0. A huge win to start off that has to buoy your confidence.
Yeah, definitely. Because again, and against very, very strong opponent there, so Caspio could get that. And it's really important this group, as all the races are going to, I imagine, be this challenging in this goals.
Yeah, Crystal Ring group, one of the groups to watch, and Sylverfyre staking their claim to challenge for the top 3 spots.
Tybalt going through his fight here. Looks pretty safe. Continuing tier 4, keep everyone healthy, and just berserk through. Looks like should be able to get through as well. I'm not sure if we'll be joined here by Sylverfyre.
Yeah, we'll see if we could get Sylverfyre in for an interview, but either way, a very good game. And again, one of the key points there was that Wyvern in the Seal Cave. We are joined by Sylverfyre. Sylverfyre, GG's, congratulations on the victory.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a really close one.
Yeah,
It-
definitely. Go ahead.
I was going to say it sure was. Did you? We saw that your nerves got were a little bit frayed at the end. You boarded the whale before you returned the pan to Young's wife. Was that sheer panic?
A little bit. It was, well, not so much panic as just like skipping the important step.
Definitely. How were you feeling, I guess, both at that point in the seed and at different points in the seed? Was there any point where you were feeling like, I am behind, or?
No, I didn't ever really feel especially behind, but I never really felt like I was especially ahead either.
Definitely.
one of-
That... Sorry, go ahead again.
One of the key turning points was your masterful work at that Wyvern in the Sealed Cave.
Yeah, it turns out, remember, like noting that you didn't get very many star veils at the start and making sure to buy them when you see them is critical.
Definitely. It turned out to be very important there, as that was a very tough fight to take on, and your ability to get through there really bought you the extra time you needed.
I felt pretty bad, though, that I took the wipe only because I had forgotten to get Fusum MP before the fight.
Definitely, we were noting that. but-
Otherwise, I could have one-shot it on battle speed, too, and that would have felt great.
Yep, definitely, but able to just quickly recover from that. It was good work through. We were kind of noting all through that play, or all through that siege, just really good play on your part, being able to just use good techs on multiple boss fights. So yeah, dropped a little bit of time there, but overall really solid play from you. So GG's there.
GG's.
Yeah, we are also joined by Tybalt, who came in second place on this one. Tybalt, that was a heck of a race, just a little bit slower than Sylverfyre. How did you feel about your play in that seed?
I was feeling pretty good all up until Luca. And by golly, it just had to be Wyvern sitting there. And I knew I didn't have any Starveils left since I took on the Bahamut. My only wall caster was good old Tella. I can't exactly get over his turn quick enough to cast a wall. Let's see if I can get Rosa enough levels to get wall. And then started flailing from there, trying to do some doors, and it's just like, I'll just do eggs. It's gonna be the quicker thing and safer.
Yeah, and then once you were able to regroup, you kind of you attacked that sealed cave with renewed vigor, and the sealed cave wasn't just required, but it contained what you needed for 3 other requirements.
Yeah, Baron Key especially, and then of course being at Wyvern Standard Time for the next 3 fights, it felt so good.
I was saying out loud, remember to change back to battle speed 2. Remember to change back to battle speed 2, like the entire time I was nuking Wyvern.
Oh, I did. Let's see. I did Ruby at Azura, and I did top of tower, and I think Baron Bigan spot. All at BS6. I was like, this feels great.
And that's Wyvern, the scariest boss in the game for multiple reasons.
You see, dragons are weak against dragons, and that's why I beat Wyvern so easily.
Now, Tybalt, your routing around Troy was a little unusual. You went and did Tower of Zop before you did Cave Magnus. It worked out for you. You took care of that objective. You got that Paladin Cecil. You got an Adamant armor out of the Flame Dog check. But what was your thinking behind that?
Well, going to Zod, getting an exit on the Rosa in my party, or spiking another exit caster for Twin Harp. It's a check that you can do early sometimes, but I just wanted to be able to leave there quickly. So getting the gated character checks out of the way, trying to find that Cecil or Fu to make that check go a lot faster. And then usually I got to check the first 2 chests of Zot for a Flame Dog. You never know. You could find an Adamant, you could find a Crystal Sword, and found the Adamant, and I was happy.
Yeah, that's a much earlier Adamant than the Pink Tail one I got. I think that answers some of my question about like how, despite losing all that time to Wyvern, did you get so close behind me?
Yeah, so I had Adamant Edge for the alt gauntlet, just casting flame constantly. That was great.
I mean, I was casting Virus with Fu, and it was good enough.
Yeah, I went and I checked the Sand Ruby character. I saw it was Tell, like, I'll have Palom for Sealed Cave. It'll be fine. And Palom never got level 29. So like, fine, I'll leave and go grab Tella.
I knew I was gonna. I've been so like really down on Palom and Rydia in these flags. They don't scale with gear enough. They take way too long before they get their endgame power level. I knew I was going to bench Palom the moment I got like anything that could punch.
Oh, it's not like Tella could punch very hard.
I didn't take Tella either. I was on
Well, you
Sid.
did take.
I did take Tella like because I hadn't found the Sid yet. So it's pretty much my ideal anchor.
Then especially once you did find that Fu, very little reason to keep that Tella around.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Tybalt. Fu was in Cave Evelyn.
In the hook route that I never decided to go down, since I felt pretty good with Rosa Edge Cecil. I'm good.
You had already found the Cecil, so there's no reason to keep looking for special characters at that point.
No, you've got the power couple. There's a thought in my head about taking that second Cecil on the moon, and I'm like, no.
I actually checked hook route before I went underground.
Yeah, that definitely was some very different early routing we saw, which maybe influenced that. Sylverfyre, for not doing Antline Cave, is that just kind of a normal thing to fade that for that long? Did something push you in that direction this seed?
Carving the edge with a good sword, I just kind of like went around the world clockwise from
like
north around.
You have the power to take on any spot, so you just kind of do them in shortest flight time.
Pretty much, that's the goal. I was a little disappointed in popping the Calbrana doll when I had already used the hourglass.
Yeah, we were exactly noting that. It's like the hourglass would be safe, keep you away from the big doll, but then sure enough, it was already.
I know, right?
Yeah, we were just commenting on the good tech there.
Because at first I was like, oh, maybe I can just AoE them all down. I don't have to worry about it. Because I know the dolls do have slightly reduced MDef compared to like the spot in general, but not reduced enough to do actual damage with any of my magic.
Yeah, the lowest magic that I think you can do with damage is Quake.
And then the lit bolt was just not quite enough to kill the blue dolls, and so I tried to slam out the hourglass right away. Didn't work. The hourglass went off, and then they turned into Calbrana. I'm like, yeah.
Although, fortunately, you were able to end it on just the big doll. They did not transform back into little dolls, and you were not trapped into the fight forever. So,
Although, you know, with the big doll, it does change the music.
It did turn off the music. I forgot to go check what song that was. I didn't recognize it.
That was a song from Bravely Default.
Ah, that's why I don't recognize it.
So, I mean, what a way to start off the Crystal Ring group with just a barn burner of a match, 45 seconds apart. We know it was important to both of you to get off to a quick start. How are you feeling about the way you started and your chances of finishing in the top 3 for now? Sylverfyre, go ahead.
I'm feeling pretty good about it. I came into this race kind of not knowing, you know, my opponent as well as I might have liked to. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to play as standard as possible. And either that's good enough or it isn't.
Tybalt, how you feeling?
You know, to be honest, Sylverfyre was one of my opponents that I was kind of worried about in this particular Crystal Ring group. So, yeah, I'm not going to let it get to my head. I'm just going to keep pushing through, and hopefully this can be maybe the one loss I have.
Oh, I'm flattered.
definitely, I think that's a good attitude there. I do want to note you both played really well. We were both noting all through the seed on how well you're taking the majority of those boss fights and just moving through the seed at a really good clip. So yeah, I think both of you should feel good about your play and just keep it up. And I'm looking forward to see those races and see how you do getting through the Crystal Ring.
Well, any final thoughts from either of you on after a really spectacular game one?
No more wyverns that are required, Luca, please.
I don't see the problem here.
That's twice I've been burned by that.
Literally.
Literally.
It does taste like burning down there. All right, well, GG's, congratulations to you, Sylverfyre, and GG's as well to Tybalt, and we good luck the rest of the way.
Yeah, GG's, and you know, hopefully we can maybe meet up later in the brackets.
All right.
Well, you can meet up in the brackets in the championship game. I think that's the thing to strive
Yeah,
for.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing. Like, if we're in the, if we're meeting up in the brackets, then something has gone very right with both of our tournaments.
Yeah. Hey, you gotta shoot for the stars. You know, shoot for the moon. If you miss, you're at least land among the stars.
Help! I'm lost in space.
Yep, definitely big GGs to both of you on that, and big thanks also just for putting on such an exciting race. It was a blast to watch.
No problem. Thanks for doing the restreaming and commentating. It's always a pleasure to have great commentators. So at least I myself can learn maybe something new when I watch it back.
All right, GG's again.
GG's.
GG.
Again, do want to just say big shout out there to both our runners, put on a great show for us. So do go ahead and check them out and give them a follow. They, I imagine, are playing a lot of free enterprise right now. So if you're enjoying that, do go follow them, watch. Also, big shout out here to everyone who helped put this on tonight. So Beauty in Discovery doing all of our tracking for us. Solaris doing all the restream, the entire reason we could see all of this. And Sheepwatcher for doing commentary with me. It was a pleasure. Thanks.
Klopfer, certainly give all of them a follow. And we'll be heading over to raid Sorbius, who's doing Adamant Cup practice. As you can tell from our race tonight, you do need to practice really hard to to do well in Adamant Cup. So we will see you with more Adamant Cup action down the road. Now we'll head over to Sorbius, and until next time, so long.